evening, I'd like to share a presentation with you about how you can educate yourself, how you can invest in your future, and how you can ultimately prosper with the new economic evolution of the world. So let's have a kick straight into it. What I'm going to share with you this evening is why only 10% of the people on the planet actually control 90% of the world's wealth, and how we can change that, how we can start to change it. We're going to talk a little bit about what the new economic evolution of the world is and how that looks. We're going to talk about how you can enter the investors closed club, and right now it is a closed club. There's no other way to get into it except through education, which I think is incredibly important. We're going to talk about how you can become some co-owners, or become co-owners of some really, really amazing companies that are up and coming, that are in niches that are going to be absolutely sought after in the future. And of course, we're starting to get into that right now. Of course, by being a member of that closed club, you also open yourself up for passive income packages as well, which is obviously exciting for everyone. If you get enough passive income that covers your expenses, then you've won the game. And of course, we're going to talk about how you can create a multi-million-dollar global business inside the next 3 to 5 years. And of course, just for attending this evening, I want to give you a free gift as well, and that will be, we'll talk about how you can get that towards the end. All right, guys, so please note, I'm going to go through this first. Please note, our company is not a registered advisor or broker. The information provided in newsletter alerts and live sessions is intended for educational purposes only. Any information offered should not be considered as any recommendations or advice. Business opportunities do come with inherent risks, marketing ventures also. They should only be conducted by those willing to be responsible for their own results. Now, any figures offered this evening or today during this presentation are for illustrative purposes only, and should not be considered as any form of guarantee. It's really, really important. Now, note, we do not offer financial advice, and you shouldn't either, unless you're licensed to do so in your area of residence. Only general information is given and should be noted. Please do your own due diligence and seek confirmation from a licensed professional in your area, either accountant or financial advisor, and of course, to make sure whether it's right or not for you. So that's a little bit about what we're going to go through tonight, and of course, what you can expect. So who am I? Well, this gentleman here on my left, which is, well, it'll be your left as well, actually, is not actually that long ago. It's only just over 2 years ago that that photo was taken. Now, I've been working for myself pretty much since I got out of the military 14 years ago. It hasn't always been easy. I made a lot of money when I first got out of the Air Force, and then I lost it. I lost everything. And I plotted through online. I'm sure a few of you can relate to plotting through online, trying to make something work, and there was seemingly no light at the end of the tunnel. And, you know, I remember I took that photo and sent it to Sarah, my wife, and it was, I was crawling around in a very, very small ceiling space in 55 to 60 degree heat. Where we could only go up for sort of 10 minutes at a time before we'd have to come down, rehydrate. But it was incredibly difficult to do so. But I did it because that's what I needed to do for my family. I actually got to a point where I was like, you know what, maybe a job's the only way I need to go, and that's where I was at. Now, fast forward 2 years later, on the right-hand side, almost 2 years to the day, that second photo was taken. And that photo is taken actually in Hanoi in Vietnam. And I was there doing a presentation for the company that we're having a look at this evening, sharing the gift of financial education and financial literacy. Now, I went from lucky to earn $1,000 a week in that first photo to earning just shy of $500,000 in the last 12 months. Now, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that's what's possible. Okay, so that is absolutely what's possible for you if you just have concentrated effort and go through it and focus on one thing at a time. So I'm a father first. I have 3 beautiful children, all of which are members of this great company, which I'll talk a little bit about soon. I'm a president within our rank structure within the company, which is the highest rank you can attain, and I did that within that 2 to 3 year period. I'm a member of the President's Council, so that's kind of where everyone wants to try and get themselves to be so they can start making decisions and have a look at how the overall running of the company goes. I'm a private investor, and I have been for a long time, successfully, unsuccessfully, but I can tell you what, the education that I've got from here has led me to get a 1,000% return in the last 18 months. So that figure I gave you before doesn't include my investment returns. That's something entirely different. I'm a co-owner of the NEEW global investment portfolio, which we'll have a little bit of a look at. I am a certified master profi coach. I can coach worldwide. In fact, I do coach worldwide. I'm a genius of finance facilitator, which we'll have a look at a little bit further. And when I say online marketing specialist, I've been dabbling online really for the last 12 years. And as you can see from that photo, just over 2.5 years ago, it didn't always work for me. I had supplement income, and that's not really what I wanted. So I found this great opportunity that allows me to be at home when I need to be, travel the world, share this great information, and of course give my family the life that I'd always promised them. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I also wrote a book called Rivers of Gold, How to Create Multiple Income Streams, because regardless of my circumstances, I knew I always had something up here that I could bring down on paper for other people. So that's out there in the marketplace too. So guys, the rich get rich and the poor get poor. Is that really what the case is? Now, if you look at the graph there in front of you, you can see, or the chart rather, you can see that 10% of the money as an employee, you only receive about 10% of the money. Now, our education system does a really, really good job of showing us how to be an employee, how to go and get a job, how to work for money, how to trade our time for money. Now, it's really the equivalent of modern day slavery. Now, if we look at the other side of that, on the left-hand side, below that is an entrepreneur or a self-employed person. I don't even know if you'd throw self-employed into that same category as entrepreneur. However, self-employed is that they're working for themselves. You bought yourself a job, essentially. And look, there's quite a high percentage of people that actually fall into that category, but haven't necessarily made it work yet. Now, if we flick to the other side of the quadrant, we can see a business person. Now, that would be someone that has an organization of 500 people plus. Now, that could be a multi-level organization. It could be bricks and mortar, but generally it's systemized. And when you've systemized something, you can start to leverage that. And that's where the key is with any business. Now, you know, I've been in traditional business and I've been in non-traditional business. And I can tell you that without doubt, systemization is the key to actually moving forward and being able to leverage yourself and leverage your time. So that's where we want to get onto that right side, either as a business person or as an investor. And this is where this opportunity comes into its own. It actually takes into consideration both sides, both parts of that quadrant. As a business person with a large organization, if you want that, or as simply as an investor to get your money to work for you each and every month. And when we learn to do that, when we learn to get our money to work for us, which is through the education, then we have much, much better results with it. So, you know, we could sit around right now, we could say, well, no, I'm quite happy with my job, but is it secure? Now, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but there are incredibly devastating times that are coming for us in the financial future. Now, we had a global recession in 2008 caused by the collapse of the subprime mortgage market. We're about to witness something probably 10 times worse than that. It's probably going to be worse than what the Great Depression was back in the 30s, which is what our grandparents sort of went through. Now, if you think this is pie in the sky, you probably want to do some research. A lot of the banks are starting to buy up gold. There's a reason for that. Our fiat currency that we have out in the marketplace is literally about to start failing. So we need to start looking at a different way of doing business and a different way of providing currency. Now, this is another reason why education is so important. We don't want to be any of those people sitting in those lines. We want to be providing the solutions for people that they can start to move ahead with. And ladies and gentlemen, right here, right now, what you're looking at can provide you with that. So I'll introduce you to the new economic evolution of the world, which is essentially a redistribution of global wealth. Okay, that's not meant to say that you can't get incredibly wealthy, because you can and you should aspire to that if that's what you're looking for. But what it is saying is that it's going to give everybody an equal shot, and I think that's incredibly important to understand. So we're thinking about safety and security for yourself, for your loved ones, for your property. Value added, so i.e. you can provide value to other people, or you can do it through services. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through as well, because I think it's incredibly exciting what we actually have for us. Prosperity and happiness. Now, sure, money doesn't necessarily make you happy, but I can tell you what, it's more comforting crying in a BMW, or in my case, a Maserati, than it is on a push bike. So it gives you choices. And anyone that says, you know, money won't make you happy, they've probably never actually had any money to be able to say that. In all honesty, and it won't make you happy, but it certainly gives you a lot more choices. Okay, so realization of your dreams. Now, remember, as kids, we probably dream a lot more than we do now. Probably a lot more. You know, life gets in the way, things come up for us, and we go, you know, I just can't see my way clear of that right now, so I'm out. Right. So that's where we're at with that. So realization of dreams, it actually can become a reality for you. How does this all happen? Well, this guy here, Andre Havrato, he is the CEO of our companies, the TNG group of companies. Now, He's an author and the creator of the Academy of Private Investor, which was a company that he founded in 2011 and essentially distilled all of his knowledge, all of his investment knowledge, his 2 decades of investment knowledge, into a online training portfolio or program called the Academy of Private Investor. Now, he's a multidisciplinary investor, meaning he invests in multiple different market segments. He's the author of the Crypto Unit program, which we're going to learn a little bit about. He's the host of the Secrets of Millionaires TV program. Now, that's obviously with Andre Harato. He was voted Best Business Coach in Financial and Investment Personal Development of 2018, according to the Mellon Rich magazine and Finance Times Business Journal. He is the chairman of the Investment Council at the International Public Association of World Generals for Peace. He's been awarded the Dove of Peace by the same company. And of course, he is a master of realizing the dream. So guys, we've got a really great visionary with us that can take us where we need to go. Now, there are 3 components to the new economic evolution of the world. And the first and the most important one is actually education. Because with education, with the knowledge that you can get from the education, no one can ever take that away from you. Regardless of whether they take your money from you, they can never take your knowledge on how you did it to start with. And that's quite important to understand. So the second part of that is co-ownership, and then the third part is business if you choose to participate in that side of it. So let's have a look at the first side, education. Now, as I said, the Academy of Private Investor was founded in 2011 as an online training portal, okay, for investment and financial literacy. It has had over 100,000 students through its doors in that time, and it does run a variety of trainings and courses, which is, of course, very, very cool as well. Now, we actually, as a company, sell educational information products, also known as EIPs. Now, they cover all sorts of things. In the investment topics, we talk about the 8 rules of the private investor. Now, these are rules that most investors follow, and that's why they are able to grow and maintain their wealth. Now, these are some of the things that are never ever taught to us in the traditional schooling educational curriculum. Now, there's a lot of people that have theories around that. We don't need to go into it. The fact of the matter is, it's not taught. So this picks up where that leaves off, essentially. This gives you the information that you need. First steps in private investing, the 12 developments of the private investor, distance learning as a private investor. You can do this literally from the comfort of your own home, and you can literally learn how to turn $1 into 1 million simply through this process. As I've said, following these guidelines or these principles, I've been able to get 1,000% return on my money in the last 18 months. Now, if you went out and said that to someone in the street, they'd say, oh, that's not possible. I can verify what I've just told you. I can back it up with documentation. So it is absolutely possible. You just got to know where to look. It's like the adage with the plumber and the hammer. He just knew where to tap. So of course he could charge you $100. If you know that one. Of course, fundamentals catalyzation, trading on the Moscow exchange and other exchanges as well. 12 courses of fundamental. You can see it all there. And of course, we've also got personal and development, personal and business topics as well right there. How to turn any dream into a reality. Now, remember what I said at the start, we've got to start getting back to how we felt as a kid and how we started dreaming and what we wanted to achieve. Well, this is actually going to help you work through the process on how you can do that for yourself. And then, of course, again, we've got the 8 fundamental principles of success, sources of additional income. We're going to show you how to find those. The game of life, how to win at the game of life. I mean, everybody says it, but have they given you the tools? This will absolutely give you the tools, and you'll get personal coaching from people that have done it as well, which I think is pretty cool. Now, one of the ways in which we deliver or test upon, if you like, the 8 rules of the private investor and the fundamentals that we go through is through the Genius of Finance Business Simulator. Now, this literally allows you to simulate and test new investment strategies or learn new investment strategies without any risk to yourself, without any risk to your own personal capital. And that's pretty important too. Right? You want to make sure that your capital's safe, because while you're keeping your capital safe, then you continue to grow it. Once your capital's gone, then you've got to work harder to get there. It's not impossible, but you've got to work harder. So we want to maintain that capital, and the Genius of Finance can absolutely show you how to do that. It's a board game, it's a simulator, but it will show you how to put those principles into practice. Now, I'm going to ask the question, right? Do you want to win the lottery? The reason we ask this question right here is because 95% of all lottery winners generally lose all that they won and then a little bit more as well. They're usually in a worse off position than they were within 2 years of winning the lotto. Now, they've interviewed lottery winners and they've said, if you could go back and do it again, what would you do different? And most of them say, I wouldn't want to win at all. It destroyed my life. And that is simply because they don't know how to manage, or didn't know how to, never given the tools on how to manage that money. This is where the education, again, comes in as so important. Maybe you are going to inherit millions. You know, if you're not set up for the flood, you're not going to withstand it at all. It's going to wipe you out. And I can certainly attest to that and speak to it because I've had it happen. When I got out of the military, I made a heck of a lot of money and then lost everything because I didn't know how to grow it. I didn't know how to maintain it. I thought I did, but I didn't. I wasn't putting the things into practice that we teach in the Academy of Private Investor. So let's now talk about, that's the education side of it. And of course it's important because that allows you to do this for yourself as well. But the co-ownership side of it looks a little bit like this. Our global portfolio is already inside the closed club. Okay, you can't, it's the only way to get it into it is through the education, is already involved in 20 different market segments, which you can see right there. You might want to take a screenshot if you're quick. But we are involved in 20 different market segments. Now, one of the market segments is in franchising. So we actually are 50% co-owner in the Sushi Master franchise throughout Russia. Now, the goal is to expand it to 50,000 restaurants in the next 10 years, which is absolutely possible. And then the estimated capitalization at the back of that will be between $100 and $250 billion. Of course, innovative transport technologies, the market volume expected for that is about $500 trillion, which is no small amount either. It is very, very cheap to implement and is starting to look pretty attractive to a lot of different countries. It is ecological and safe, and it is part of the conservation movement. It's actually a certified green product, which is very, very cool as well. Movie industry, Kitmar. Now, these guys have already got successful projects. We're 50% co-owner in this. This is part of our global portfolio, and there's already a project in the mix from NEEW. So we've had input into that, and that's going to be released in the next 6 to 12 months. CryptoMat. Now, you see on every street corner almost there's a bank ATM, and they're charging you ridiculous fees, $2.50 to withdraw your own money. It's like highway robbery. But whether you like it or not, we are heading to a digital currency. You know, cryptocurrencies are going to become more and more mainstream and normal. So why wouldn't it make sense to have a crypto ATM, automatic teller machine, where you can change your fiat to crypto or crypto to fiat or whatever the currency will be at the time? You'll be able to do it through these crypto machines. Now, again, we're a 50% co-owner of this. This is a part of our portfolio that will continue to pay money back to the portfolio on profits each and every month once they're implemented. Innovative basalt technologies. Now, this is another big one. We're actually establishing a production plant now as we speak. It's going into production very, very soon. But think about, if you've never heard basalt before, that's okay. Think about anything that has reinforcing rod in it, i.e. concrete products. Think about carbon fiber. Think about anything that's created with fiber or weaved. You can do it with basalt technology. Now, this is potentially a $1 quadrillion market plus, so $1 to $5 quadrillion market, which is incredibly huge. And we are, again, 50% co-owner of this company. If we got a 26% market share, even if it was $1 quadrillion, then that's 260 billion and so on and so forth. So, sorry, 260 trillion. So there's some quite big figures that we're starting to talk about here. So the underlying value of this portfolio continues to grow. It's already impressive as it is from the age. And now that we're starting to get some of these things in it, it's getting even better. So let's have a look at the next one here. Shikar. Now, this is a loyalty program on steroids. Now, you probably had a coffee at some stage today. You may have filled your car up. You may have been to a restaurant. You may have bought your groceries. Now, imagine doing that and getting rewarded for doing so. So knowing that you're shopping within your own network, where not only are you actually going to earn some revenue from doing so, you're going to save yourself money. Now imagine being able to share that with your friends. Now being able to share that with friends who have businesses, and they can automatically get access to a large network globally. Now that, again, we're 50% co-owner in that as well, which is about to roll out. Again, it's mainly up in the Russian Federation at the moment, but it will find its way further south now that we have a global distribution network within our company, which I think is, again, kind of exciting. Now, the realization of the crypto unit program, the CRU program, let's have a look at it. Phase 1, pre-opening on April 2019. In fact, it was the 30th of March. There's only 8 stages in that program, and we are currently in the 8th stage. Which will finish on the 31st of December 2019, and we'll actually go into phase 2. We'll go into stage 1 of phase 2 on the 1st of January 2020, which is, again, very, very exciting. Now, that will open the project up to the global market. So within the next 6 to 12 months, you'll be able to put those out in the market, and if you've got them, you'll be able to sell them. Okay, now take note for what I've just said there. if you've got them, you'll be able to sell them in proportion. Okay, once we get to phase 3, which is the global merchandising, you'll be able to sell them all if you want, but by then I'm sure you will all be receiving payments from them, and you probably won't want to sell them. It would make sense to keep them, because this is something that you can pass on to your children and their children, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the value of the assets currently in the CRU portfolio is just over $120 million. Now, that has gone from $26,000 just over 5 years ago to what it is today. So that's pretty phenomenal. A lot of that growth has actually been in the last 10 months, which again is very, very exciting. So what does the crypto unit program do? Well, it gives you access to the education programs to show you how you can grow and maintain your wealth. Making money is actually relatively simple, guys. It's a simple process. Holding on to it is what most people fall over with. It's certainly what I fell over with. I made a lot of money in a very short amount of time, and then I lost it all because I didn't know how to maintain it. This education will show you how to maintain it, which I think is pretty cool. Ownership of the global investment portfolio, which we've just sort of had a brief look at. Monthly loyalty program bonuses. Now, simply for holding those tokens, now you get them from participating in the education. Remember, you're buying, if you're looking tonight, you're buying education, okay? You get those for free for participating, and you get a loyalty bonus from that, which is pretty cool too. Now, there's the opportunity to receive an unconditional base bonus, Profi bonus. Now, you can look into Profi bonus. It's like a minimum wage or a living wage, if you like, which is, again, something that's been brought about by the whole idea of the new economic evolution of the world. So it is a living wage for you. It's regulated and transparent. You actually have a vote on what comes out for that Profi bonus each and every month. No, it can, yeah, the person who invited you here this evening will be able to explain that a little bit further. CRU value growth via the asset growth. Now, what I mean by that is that at the eventuation, there'll be 80 billion of those CRU that are actually issued to market via certificate or however that goes forth. Now, the value of the portfolio, now come back to the basalt that I spoke about. If we get that market share that we're talking about, $260 trillion, and we have half of that, let's say we got a quarter of it. Let's say it was only $70 trillion. Okay, so divide 80 billion by 70 trillion, and you'll get the figure of what one of those CRU could potentially be worth, which is exciting as well. And as I said right at the start, there's no guarantee in that, but it's kind of cool just to think about where this could head. No one's making any promises, but where it could head is pretty phenomenal. Now, the opportunity of the CRU circulation and global merchandising, when that happens, we'll start to see a massive spike. Of course, we'll see a massive spike prior to that as well, which again is very cool. Now, the last pillar to the new economic evolution of the world is, of course, business. Now we're talking about the multi-level crowd investing business. So let me explain that. We as a company, TNG, have been around since 2014, 5 years. We have over 800,000 partners throughout the world. We do business in over 150 countries worldwide, and we teach investment and financial education and offer a global business opportunity. It's really that simple. We take the best of both worlds. We show people how to invest, and we also have a portfolio that they get given, but we also give them the opportunity to sell our education and make money up front as well. Again, it's a business that's been around as long as time, the multi-level business. We've just created a hybrid from it where you actually get prosperity either way, and I think that's incredibly exciting. Now, this image to me is a very, very cool one because it represents something that the whole family can do. It is multi-level crowd investing. As I've said, my children are involved. I know a lot of, in fact, I know there's a young wee lass in Scotland that's might just be 1 year old now who is also involved in this. She'll be very well looked after by the time she's old enough to receive that. Now, but this is legitimately something that you can get the whole family involved in. And I think that is very cool because it does bring prosperity to all people. Now, what does MLCI offer? Obviously, training, unlimited instantaneous income opportunities. And that is absolutely true, whether it's being a speaker for the company or a coach for the company, whether it's building your network straight out of the gates. And of course, we've got some great tools that can assist you with that as well. You do have the opportunity to become a coach, a business coach, if that's what you want. Now, this is a profession that's really starting to come into its own. There's more and more coaches that are coming out there. If you've got some business knowledge and that's where I want to go, but I've never had the platform, then perhaps you could do it through TNG and the multi-level crowd investing opportunity. Of course, the loyalty program that we spoke about right through to October 21. By that time, the Profi bonus will be high enough to sustain as a living wage, and you won't need to worry about it. The unconditional Profi bonus, as we've already mentioned there. Global portfolio capitalization. Now, that's what I'm talking about. That's that figure. Now, they want the portfolio to be worth over $100 trillion. At $100 trillion, each one of those CRU has a potential of being worth upwards of $1,200, which is kind of exciting as well. And of course, the global merchandising opportunity that is there. Now, do you want to earn more? Great. Perhaps this is part of you. Be part of a global business with unlimited income potential. As I said, I went from earning $1,200 to $1,500 a week just over 2 years ago to earning just under $5,000 or just around $500,000 in the last 12 months with this opportunity. And that's not taken into consideration any of the investment stuff. That's just network stuff, which I think is quite cool. And I've still got a long way to go to where I want to be. But you know, maybe $500 a week, a month is what you want. Maybe it's $1,500 a month extra to help pay the mortgage or pay student debt. That's okay. Whatever your figure is, it's achievable through this opportunity. It really, really is. You can be an international coach if that's what you want. There is absolutely international opportunities. I'm actually sitting right here, right now in the Grand Canyon in Arizona, in the United States of America, having just been to a training in Las Vegas. I'll be coming home for a couple of weeks, then I'll be back to Las Vegas, and then I'll be over to New York to deliver some of our training. So it's absolutely an international business, and you can be an international coach. Surrounded by successful people, and of course, you know, there's an old saying, if you hang around a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. So what that means is essentially, if you hang around the right people, getting the right information in here and learn the right mindset techniques, you're going to have success. It's that simple. If you want to become financially free and make your dreams come true, then absolutely, this is something that will probably be perfect for you. Now, all you have to do, it's really, really simple. For a limited time, get in touch with the person who invited you to this presentation this evening. Register yourself for a free test drive. It's free. There's no obligation, but register yourself for a free test drive. In doing so, you will receive as a gift 200 of the CRU that I have spoken about this evening, and you've heard the value of what the potential that has, simply for registering before the 31st of December 2019. So I implore you, get back in touch with the person who brought this to you this evening and ask them how you can register for your free test drive. And I look forward to seeing you guys at the top or at one of our conferences around the traps very, very soon. It's been Andrew Hawks. It's been a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I wish you all the very best. And again, I'll see you at the top. Take care.